Hi, Two Bright Lights family. I am so excited to be here with you today. I thank you so much for joining us as another Tuesday webinar. I am Megan, the manager of Two Bright Lights, and let me tell you, we have an absolute treat today. I've been so excited about getting this webinar ready for you. So today we are joined by Monique Melton. She is an all-around fabulous person, a business coach, relationship expert, author, diversity advocate, speaker, the list goes on and on. And so when I say that it is a special treat that we have her here today, believe me, it is absolutely true. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her over the past year or so, and every single time that I talk to her, I learn something, my heart is so full, and I just go on and get ready to conquer the world. So I hope that you walk away from today feeling exactly the same way, and without any other delay, because you are not here to hear me. You are here to hear Monique talk to you and learn from her. So with that, I am going to pass it over to her and we'll get things started.
Yay. You are so sweet. I should have recorded that and put that on my Insta stories. That was so sweet. Thank you so much. Hey, y'all. Okay, so I am very much a interactive speaker, whether it's online, in person. So if you're here just to like lurk and just think you're going to just be hanging out and not interacting, no. So what I would love for you to do really quickly is in the chat, just tell me, hey, and then what's your business? Because a lot of times if I'm pulling examples, it's really great to use examples that are relative to the people in the room. Now, if you're watching the replay, it can apply to you as well. Okay, so Megan's already told you a little bit about me and what I do in my business. I will tell you that the primary focus in my business is to support you in growing a more profitable business while also maintaining healthy relationships, because I think that life is really all about relationships, and we have important work that we're called to do. And I believe that we can have great relationships and do great work in the world. With that being said, our conversation today is about marketing. What type of marketing strategies that you need to do in your business? Like what should every business owner know when it comes to marketing? And I want you to understand that marketing it's really simple. Sometimes we often overcomplicate marketing and don't really get a full grasp on it. But the to sum it all up and to make it really simple, is marketing is all about establishing a brand's your business as a brand's trust, connection, and sustainability in the market. Because we've seen businesses, for example, like Blockbuster. We've seen businesses that were very strong, very viable. They had a very strong presence, but then something comes up and they don't evolve to the needs of their community, and then they are no longer in existence. You can't find a Blockbuster anywhere. So marketing is a combination of those things. You've got to establish trust, you've got to establish the connection, but you also need to be able to have sustainability in a market. And I'm going to tell you that as long as you understand why marketing is so hard, this will help you to overcome the challenge when it comes to marketing. And one of the reasons why marketing is so hard is that it's about people. And I don't know about you, but people can be challenging. Anybody ever had a challenging person in their life? You know, they're folks who just whatever, they make life hard. So people are challenging. We're always evolving, we're always trying to learn and grow, and many of us are, you know, not the same that we were yesterday and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, if people are always changing, that means that your business has to always be evolving and changing and growing to meet the needs that your business is designated to solve and to connect with. So it's really important that we understand that marketing is not this one and done thing. It is a ever evolving process that goes on and on and on. And your business can be sustainable so long as you are connected to your audience. So in order to have effective marketing, you want to make sure that you are meeting a problem by building relationships with the people who have the most pressing need to find a solution to that problem. Okay? All right, so y'all got that? Like, we got a basic understanding as far as what is marketing. It's about establishing trust, connection, sustainability, and meeting a need for the people who are most pressed to find a solution to that need that you are solving, okay, or you're meeting. Now, with that being said, you might be thinking there are so many different ways to do marketing. They tell me to be on Instagram, they tell me to be on to blogs, they tell me to get on here. It's just so many different tactics. Those are all different types of tactics. But once you understand that there are, in my opinion, three main categories of marketing in terms of strategies, the way you go about implementing those strategies, those tactics that you use to implement those strategies are going to vary depending on your budget, your business, and all those things. So what I've created is a 2-3-1 rule. Somebody type in the chat 2-3-1. Okay. Now I was raised Baptist. And so I don't know if we have any Southern Baptist folks in here, but a lot of times the pastor would tell you, well, somebody say this, or can I get an amen, or tell your neighbor this. So I kind of adapt that style to my teaching. So I might ask you guys to type in the screen or give me a amen, a high five. Again, this is all about that interaction, because right now I'm just looking at a screen, but I want to feel like I'm somewhat like with you. Okay. So 2-3-1 is very simple. Okay. But first, before I tell you what that is, let me tell you the three main strategy categories that marketing can fall under. You have content marketing, and then you have relationship marketing, and then you have traditional marketing. So content marketing is this. It's where you get an opportunity to learn and share information in hopes that when the person needs what you have, they will reward you with their business. So content marketing can be blogging, video, social media can fall under content marketing. And a lot of us really understand what content marketing is. And there's several different tactics that we can employ under that strategy. Then we have relationship marketing, which is my favorite. But relationship marketing, and although marketing is all about relationships, but relationship marketing is a very refined approach to connecting with people and with the intent to build a relationship with them in a more personal, and also in a more deeper, meaningful way. So you might be doing that by doing networking online. You might do that by hosting events, by doing online networking in like Facebook groups, or in-person networking. Relationship marketing also involves getting to know people on a one-on-one level and building those relationships with them, collaborating with other brands, all those great things. And then there's traditional marketing. And traditional marketing, two bright lights would definitely fall under traditional marketing, and content marketing. It's a little bit of both. So traditional marketing, as we think about it in a more solid sense, it can be something like print, or it can be something like TV, radio, and with two bright lights getting published online or getting published in magazines. That is a type of marketing strategy that oftentimes takes a lot of impressions in order for it to gain some traction. So understanding the pros and cons of the different strategies with content marketing, for example, a pro of that is it's relatively inexpensive, but a con can be that it takes quite a long time to get a conversion from that. And then relationship marketing is very time consuming, but it can have a more long lasting approach. And so just understanding the different types of strategies, the 2-3-1 is going to make sense to you. Okay. So those are the three main strategies that I like to group marketing under. Some people say digital marketing, but you can take those different tactics out of digital marketing and put them under a category. Okay. So we have content marketing, relationship marketing, and traditional marketing. So the 2-3-1 strategy is where you're going to choose two of those primary strategies for your business. So you're going to choose to focus on it, because again, marketing, there are so many different ways you can do marketing, but how do you choose? How do you decide? I'm going to tell you that in a minute. But 2-3-1 says, I'm going to pick two main categories to focus on in my business. And maybe you do this for a year. Maybe you do this for half of a year. Maybe you do this per quarter to see how it affects your bottom line, because ultimately your marketing should be affecting your bottom line in a positive way. So you have two main strategies, and then you have 3 tactics per strategy. And one of those strategies, so here's the one of those strategies needs to be a conversion method. And then another strategy should be a lead generation method. Okay. So 3 tactics under the relationship marketing strategy could look something like this. Maybe I'm going to host in-person workshops. So that's an in-person opportunity. And then another strategy under that is maybe I'm going to have in-person networking events that I'll host once a month. Maybe my workshop is once a quarter. And then another strategy from there could be where I'm having one-on-one conversations with different people in my industry to build relationships relationships and to connect with them. So those are 3 different tactics. What I would decide is which of those tactics is going to be a lead generator and which one of those is going to be a converter. So a lead generator might be the networking event because I'm getting more people, it's more frequent, and it's bringing people in. A conversion tactic may perhaps be when I'm having a one-on-one conversation, getting to know someone, although you want to be very specific when you're having those conversations, what the intent is behind that, because people don't want to be misled into a sales call. So maybe the conversion method might be your workshop, where maybe they come to the workshop, but your hope is that they'll do the next project or next thing with you in your business. So you have to, the more refined you are, the more specific you can be about implementing these strategies and the more consistent you can be. Are y'all with me? Can I get like a yes? Okay, I got it. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast so that you guys can get this. So you have 2 main categories, right? And then you have 2 or 3 strategies under those 2 categories. Of those 3 strategies, you're going to pick one that's a conversion, and then one is a lead generator. And you're going to measure this, because as you measure this, I'm talking too fast. Okay. As you measure this will help you to understand what's working and what's not. And if you're spending time and money on something, you want to know how it is working. And if you're not measuring it, if you don't have a clear, definitive goal behind your strategies, then it's going to be hard to know what's really helping your business. Okay, so how do you decide which strategies for your business? Anybody want to know how do I decide which one I should focus on? Like, anybody want to know that? Anybody? Or I can just skip to the 4 strategies everybody should implement. Y'all want to know? Okay. So first, you're going to start with your vision. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I just hired a personal trainer because I've been working out for I don't know how long, but I'm just not getting the results that I want. And I said, okay, it is time for me to hire somebody who, 1, knows what they're doing, 2, will hold me accountable, and 3, will show me what I need to do to get the results that I need. So I hired a coach. Well, it's great to have the support in place, but I need to know what I want so that I can go about communicating that, and then they can help me create a plan. Same for your business. You need to know overall, ultimately, what are you trying to do? What is the vision for your business? When it's all said and done, as you move throughout this space, in this world, and throughout this life of yours, what is your business really ultimately here to do? What is the big vision? I think sometimes the focus is too narrow. Oh, I'm just trying to get through this to-do list today. I'm just trying to get through the month. I'm just trying to get through the wedding season. No, what is the big vision? That's going to help you determine what marketing strategies, because you're going to go down from your big vision, and then you're going to get really specific about what do you really have? What's your budget? Okay. If you have a marketing budget of $5,000, your strategies are going to look very different, or what you're able to do with $5,000 is going to be very different than someone who has a budget of $500 or $25,000. And I work with clients who have various budgets. And so we have to tailor the strategies and the things that they're trying to do to their budget, because you can't do a lot for free. Now, here's the thing. You might not have a very robust budget, but perhaps you have a little more time. So that's where you can do a little bit of trade-off. But what if you have a limited budget and limited time and limited resources? That means you're going to have to be really creative with your strategies, and also really realistic with the type of goals that you're expecting to get within the time span that you're giving yourself. For example, back to the weight loss. If my goal is to lose 5 pounds a month, and I only have 1 day to work out, and I don't really plan to eat that healthy, that's not a very realistic goal for myself, because in order to get that type of result, I'm going to have to put in the work. So in your business, if you have a goal of making X amount of dollars, but you don't necessarily know what your conversion rate in terms of how many people come in that actually do business with you and how much do they spend, it's going to be really hard to gauge how much you can focus in terms of your marketing dollars. But let's say you have very limited time, limited budget. then it's going to be really hard for you to reach that goal in a time frame unless you are giving yourself realistic expectations. So don't want to set yourself out for frustration and failure, and you don't want to set your goals based off of someone else and what they're doing. A lot of times people set their prices, they set their goals, they set their websites, and they do all these things based off of what this person is doing, what this person is doing, but you have no idea what the back end and what their business looks like and the money that they're able to push into their business. You have no idea how much they might be spending on Facebook ads, or how they have people working that are doing sales for them. Like you don't have any idea what they're doing behind the scenes. So you have to base your goals off of your budget, your time, and your resources, and be very practical about that while also stretching yourself a little bit. Back to the personal trainer example. I thought we were just doing 3 reps today. Then she just was like, she just looked at me and she said, go do another one. And I was like, girl, okay. I'm just like, I have big goals. I'm willing to do the work. She's like, you want to get the results? You got to put in the work. I'm like, okay. As I'm doing a little set, doing another thing, it's like, okay, this is what we have to do. So you got to stretch yourself a little bit, which is why having somebody to help you push yourself when you feel like you're tired or you're ready to give up and all that kind of stuff, to say, hey, this is what you want. You said you wanted to do it. Let's do it. Okay. Then you want to create goals that are very specific and measurable, considering your vision and what you have to work with. So if I come home and I'm like, okay, it's 5 o'clock and I want to get dinner ready and have it on the table by 5:45, I'm not going to cook a meal that's going to take me an hour and a half. I need to make sure that I'm being very specific about the time that I have, what ingredients I have. If I wanted to make a vegan dish, but all I have in my fridge is some peanut butter and jelly, I'm not probably going to be able to do that type of thing. So you've got to be realistic. If there's anything you get from this, being realistic and practical with your business, where you are in your season, it's going to help set you up for success. Okay. The other thing that's really important as you're considering strategies for your business is, what is your audience? What are their needs? And where are they searching for solutions for those needs? And so as you think about all these different things, starting from your vision, looking at your budget, looking at your time that you have, looking at your resources, and then create specific, measurable, time-sensitive goals, then you can also want to consider your audience and what are their needs. You put all that together and you ask yourself another question. What am I really good at as it relates to these strategies? If you're really good at in-person connections, then maybe that's where you want to spend your time. Or if you're really great at writing, or you're really great at doing online videos, also consider your strengths as you're looking at what you have to offer, because that's going to help you stay consistent with that strategy. If it's something that you dread doing and you're not at a place where you can outsource it, because understand this with marketing, not everything you need to do in your business, but if you're at a place where you're a one-person show, then sometimes that's what you have to do. But if it's something that you dread and you're not at a place where you can hire someone, you don't have the budget to hire that person, maybe that's not something you need to implement right now, because you probably won't do it that great, or you might not stay consistent with it. And with marketing and growing a sustainable business, consistency is where it's at. Same with losing weight. Consistently making right choices and moving your body, that's going to get you the results. It's not rocket science. Same with marketing. Okay, y'all got that? So you understand the 2-3-1 rule. You understand how to go about creating those strategies for your business. So what I want to do next, for the next 15 minutes or so, is share with you 4 specific strategies that every business owner needs to have in terms of marketing your business. And remember that marketing is about meeting the needs of a specific audience while building relationships with those who need who need that solution that you have to offer. Okay. First thing is, the first strategy is you need a very exceptional client experience. If you are in a crowded market, which most of you are, if I look back at the comments to see what your business is, a lot of you are photographers, wedding planners, event planners. Yes, so market is crowded. How many of you feel like your market is very crowded? There's one around every corner you go. There's someone doing exactly what you do, and doing it well. It's not even a matter of there's not a lot of great talent out there, because there is a lot of great talent. The market is really crowded. So how do you make sure that you stand out? Well, one of those ways is going to be having a exceptional client experience. And here's the cool thing about having an exceptional client experience. If your experience is so great, then you're basically going to get paid. You're going to get paid for people to refer you business. And how does that happen? What does that mean? If someone paid to work with you, let's say somebody paid $500 to work with you for whatever it is, and that you gave them an exceptional client experience. Well, if they refer you to someone who then also spends $500 to work with you, how much money did you spend? Nothing. You earned off of what you brought in. So you are basically getting paid to advertise. You're getting paid for people to advertise for you. So that's one of the benefits of having a great, exceptional client experience. And I know we hear client experience and people think, well, oh, I got to have great gifts, or I got to have this. And those things are great. But one of the best things to understand, a very basic rule with a great client experience, is to exceed their expectations. If you do exactly what you said you're going to do, that's just giving them a great experience. That's fine. That's what they expected. If I say that I'm going to show up at 2:30 and I show up at 2:30, I already expected you to do that. But if you say that I'm going to get there at 2:30 and you arrive 15 minutes early and you set up and you do whatever it needs to be, that is providing an exceptional client experience that is giving them an impression of you that you're going above and beyond. And most of us, when we refer our customer or refer people to our friends, we want our friends to have a great experience. I don't know about you, but when I send someone a referral to a friend, I want that person to take great care of my friend. So if you do a great job with me, then chances are you'll probably do a great job with my friend, and that excites me to want to refer you to them. So another thing that's really important about giving, like how do I go about giving an exceptional client experience, is to make sure that you're very consistent with your communication with your clients. If you say you have set office hours and they're from 9 to 5, don't send email replies at 11 p.m. Because when you don't do that, when they've sent you an email, then they're going to start feeling as if you're not meeting an expectation that you reinforced, even though you said your office hours were from 9 to 5. And I know it can be tempting. You want to be available, but you don't have to be available and accessible at all hours of the day. So making sure that you're consistent with your client communication. Don't go 3 days without communicating with your clients, but you also want to honor the boundaries that you set in place with your clients. And another great thing to understand about the client experience is to always ask for feedback, even throughout the process. Do surveys throughout the process. Don't wait till it's over and ask them for a review. Interact with them throughout the process to say, is there anything that I can do to improve this experience from you? And if they say nothing, that's great. If they give you feedback, implement it. There's been times where I've had clients that have given me incredible feedback that has made the overall experience for them better and for future clients. And your clients are going to be the ones to help improve your business if you listen to them. Okay, so that's the first one, exceptional client experience. Okay, you're going to make sure that you have a really consistent communication. You're going to make sure that you're exceeding their expectations. And then ultimately, when it's all said and done, you want to make sure that you're surveying and getting communication and information and feedback from them so that you can continually improve the service for them and for future clients, because this is going to help you stand out. Okay. Another thing is genuine relationship building plan. A genuine relationship building plan. This is number 2. So somebody type in relationships to make it real simple. The reason why Megan and I have a relationship is she and I, we met at a conference and we exchanged information. We exchanged information, and I pursued her, and then she pursued me back. I pursued her, she pursued me back. We communicate, we get on the phone, we text, we encourage each other. It's a back and forth conversation. And so what's really important about relationships is that they take time, but you have to also remain consistent with them. You don't want to only reach out to people in the relationships when you need something. Try to set a reminder. This is something that I do on my phone sometimes, is I'll set a reminder to reach out to my friends and just text them and see how they're doing, what's going on in their life, how can I be praying for them, how can I be encouraging them, so that when I do need something, when I might be looking for something, are we having bad audio? Is it my end?
The mic's breaking up just a tiny bit. Maybe try turning her off and then turning back on.
Okay, hang on. Try it again. Is it any better?
Not any better.
That's weird. I didn't do anything. It just started acting like that?
Yeah, just a second ago.
Okay. What should I do? Let me see if I can, hold on, hang on, y'all. Let me see if I can find my, somebody said keep going. But you can't hear me. Is it really bad?
It's just like an electrical distortion at the end of your words.
Let me see if I can find my headset. Hang on one second.
Sorry about that, everybody. The joys of technology. So give us 1 second and we will hope to get that a little bit better for you. Sean, that's a really good question. If the cell phone is near the speakers.
Okay, so I'll try this headset and hopefully it'll work. Let's see. I do have a cell phone. Maybe that's, what was that? Let's see. Hopefully this helps.
You can't hear anything.
What about now?
We can hear, but it's still the same.
Oh, that's just stupid. Okay. I don't know what to do.
The only other thing we could try is if you want to disconnect and then rejoin again.
Okay. How do I do that?
Okay, bear with us, everybody. This is great content, so we will definitely be right back.
Okay. So what do I do?
Close out the window and then join the room again.
Oh, okay.
Great. Okay, now it's just me. Okay, so these are awesome. This is awesome content that Monique has already given us, and I'm on the edge of my seat to continue hearing more about number 2. But just to recap, in case anybody missed it, so one of the first things that she talked about was the exceptional client experience. And while it's not just about meeting the expectations, but it's about exceeding them. And then she just started talking about building genuine relationships. And she's absolutely right. The reason that Monique is here today is because of the fact that she and I built a genuine relationship at a conference and have stayed in touch. So it really proves that power of networking and what it can do for you personally and as well for your business. Yeah. So feel free to also throw questions in the chat as Monique continues to talk, and she'll be able to answer them when she pops back in, which should be any second. Yeah. And I'm so glad everybody's enjoying it. This is really awesome. And Leah, I appreciate your understanding of live broadcasts always having issues. I swear, no matter how many times you test and do things, there's always something. All right. Okay.
Hello?
Perfect. Yes. All right.
Okay, good. Good. Where was I, y'all? Let me see. Where was I at? Let me think back.
Yeah, you were just starting to talk about building genuine relationships. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Thanks for hanging in, y'all. Y'all must be enjoying this. Is this helpful? Hopefully this is changing your life. Okay. So Let's talk about this. So, how do we go about building genuine relationships? Has anyone ever been in a relationship where you felt like it was really one-sided, or every time you heard from that person, they were asking you for something or trying to sell you something? You don't want to do that with your market. So when you think about relationships, there's a couple of different types of relationships you're going to want to have in your business. You're going to want to have relationships like Megan and I, where we're business friends, we're business buddies, and so she's not a client of mine. I'm not a client of hers per se, but we're business friends, and so those are great. Those are like your colleagues. Those are folks who are doing great work. Your business might align, might be a great way for you to collaborate, but they're not necessarily your market, your audience. Then you're obviously going to have your audience. You're going to have your folks who you want to buy from you, who you want to purchase from you, who you want to do business with you. And then you're going to have your industry influencers who can fall under any one of those categories. So as you think about any of those relationships, it doesn't matter. This rule goes across the board. You want to make sure that you nurture them more than you're asking for anything. So if you're, building or not building, but you were planting a tree, and every time you go outside, the only thing you ever did for the tree was take apples from it and didn't give it an opportunity to have access to water and light and all those things that it needs to nurture and grow, eventually what you're taking from it will be all dried up. And so it's the same with people. No one wants to feel like all you're doing is asking, asking, asking. So as you think about your audience, in particular, make sure that as you are writing content, as you are doing Instagram, as you are doing events or blogging or doing emails, make sure that you're giving more than you're asking in return, and give so much that when it is time to ask, it almost is like a no-brainer to say yes. Okay, so you want to make sure that that is really clear in your business. And the same for building those more so just business friends that can turn into really just great friends. You can drop the business in front of it and just turn into a great friend. And how does that happen? You build trust, you're consistent, you actually show up, and you provide value in that relationship. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about building a genuine relationship plan in terms of how to market to your audience, because your business friends are great. Those are going to be folks who are going to collaborate with you. They're going to refer you business. They're going to cheer you on, and you can do the same for them. So you don't want to miss out on that group at all. But for the sake of this conversation, let's focus on, and influencers are going to do the same. And I talk a lot about this in my book, Entrepreneur Friendships. And so if you really want to dig into this and how to really take this strategy to the next level, this is what I do in my business about 99% of the time. The reason why I have a very profitable business, I do speaking, I have clients, I have opportunities. The reason why is ultimately because I really focus on building genuine relationships. And I talk a lot about that in my book. But anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure that to do this, that you're putting yourself in places where you can actually connect with your potential audience. So that means if you're in the wedding industry, going to events that are targeted to newlyweds is going to be beneficial for you. One, you'll get to meet other people in the industry, but you'll also have an opportunity to meet with other clients. Now, some of you might feel like what bridal shows are outdated and all those kind of things, but I wouldn't give up on them just yet. They're a great way for you to connect and listen to the needs, even if that person doesn't hire you. If you listen to some of the needs and the questions and the things that people are talking about, that can be great content to share on Pinterest. That can be great content to share on blogging. And so it's not a loss if you use that information as a way to attract people who are looking for what you have. And then you also want to consider showing up online where your audience is. Now, this is important for across the board, period. So if you're doing, Instagram, or if you're doing social media like Pinterest or, blogging in order to provide content for your potential clients, that's great. But it's also important to make sure that you're doing something to take that conversation to where you have more control over that. And that's going to be your website, or that's going to be your email list. So you also want to make sure that as you're building genuine relationships, that you're building that into a sales funnel for your business that gives you an opportunity to nurture them and to provide for them. So if you have a home and you invite your friends over, that's an opportunity for you to serve them, to support them, have great conversations with them. But if you have this home and you never invite people over it, I don't have control what happens in my neighbor's home or the person down the street, but I have a lot more control over what happens into my home. And so that's important for you to think about as you're building genuine relationships. Bring people into your domain, bring people into your house. And the way you go about doing that is you make sure you're building your email list or your Facebook group or something where you can collectively communicate with your audience ongoing, okay? Another thing for you to remember as you're thinking about this in terms of building genuine relationships, to move it a little bit from your audience, but is to make sure that you are building relationships with industry influencers as well. And some of your business friends might be those industry influencers or not, which is totally fine. But industry influencers are going to help you get in front of your audience at a faster rate, but also it's going to help increase that trust. Because if now you guys are meeting me, some of you don't know me, most of you probably have never even heard of me, and shame on you if you haven't heard of me yet, just tisk tisk. But the point is, your likelihood of taking what I have to say and considering it credible is increased a lot faster than it would take for you to be in my audience and nurture you for months and months and months. Just because Megan, who is an industry influencer, has a leverage, has said, hey, check out what Monique has to say, and here she is. So you're already are here. You're enjoying it. You're reaping the benefits of being a part of this, but you probably it would take you much longer to do that as you just showed up at my space as just a cold lead or whatever it may be. So industry influencers can do that for you when you're thinking about building your business and building your relationship plan. Who are some of the key influencers in your industry? But don't just think about online. Also think about in person. Who's in your industry and in your local community? I think sometimes well, I shouldn't say we, because I love going to networking events in person, but a lot of people don't want to get outside, go from behind their computer. They rather just do things online and be more comfortable that way. Maybe you're an introvert. Any introverts in the house? Like the thought of being in a room with a bunch of strangers makes you want to vomit. I got you. I understand. So I talk about that in my book too. But in-person networking events are a great way to build brand awareness, build trust, and it's a great way for you to meet new people. Okay. But if you're like, oh my goodness, I just can't even think about it, then we'll work our way up to that. But I don't want you to forsake that. Okay. So genuine relationships, told you about different types of relationships that we have out there, different ways you can go about nurturing those relationships, making sure that you're giving more than you're asking, and so that it makes sense when you do ask for folks to say, yes, of course, I'd be happy to do that. Okay. The next one really complements the one we're just talking about, but I want you guys to consider doing this more consistently and more strategically in your business. You want a collaboration strategy. So one of the things I have in my business is a spreadsheet of different brands that align with the work that I'm doing. The reason why this is also important is it allows for you to spread your marketing efforts and to multiply the impact. If I were to try to build an audience all on my own and never were to collaborate or connect with anyone in my business, it's possible, yes. But why make something that is that's possible so hard to do instead of just having some help along the way? Collaborating does that. When you collaborate with other brands and other businesses and such, it allows for you to take something that can be really hard and long-winded and make it simple and make it enjoyable as well. When you're connecting with different audiences, you're getting introduced into an audience that you might otherwise take a very long time to reach or maybe never even reach. Whereas if you collaborate, you can be introduced to new audiences at the same time. Same with Two Bright Lights. There are people who, when I shared this on my platform, that maybe weren't too familiar with the brand, or maybe they were like, well, this looks great, I'll check it out. And then after learning more about it, they're hooked. Same for you. So as you think about your brand, your business, who are some brands, who are some different people in your community, local connections that you might have, online connections that you might not have yet, but you need to build, that you can collaborate on public events or projects? And think beyond style shoots. Style shoots are great, But why not host a fundraising event where you can have the style shoot as a part of it, but invite the community to come out and engage and to have conversation, to see you work, see the behind the scenes of how something comes to life, and raise money for a great cause. Bring those great minds together and think outside of what everyone else is doing. Again, we're trying to stand out in a crowded market. How many photographers or event planners or folks in your industry are doing those type of things? Probably not a lot, because it takes a lot of time and energy and planning. But this is where you can invite the media to get involved. This is where you can do a lot of publicity and to help expand your brand on a very positive way by giving back to your community. So think about who can you collaborate with, and what are some ways that you can take what you're currently doing and add a different twist to it. Okay. Another thing about accountability is or not accountability, but a collaboration, is it helps you to have accountability as you're building your business. When you think about how hard it can be to build a business, especially if you're online, and how isolating it can be and overwhelming, it's really hard to stay in it when you don't have that accountability to remind you why you started doing it in the first place. And so having collaborations can also help you have that accountability in your business to stay the course. All right. So a homework assignment for this collaboration strategy is to think about who in your business and in your industry is doing similar work that has similar values as you. And you might be thinking, well, how do I know what someone's values are? Or what are my most important values to me? Here's something to do. Make a really short list of your top 5 values. Don't overthink it. For me, it would be my faith, my family. So my faith being number 1, my family being number 2. I really value diversity and inclusion, having freedom and personal growth and wellness. Those are some values of mine. So if I want to meet other people who have those similar values, a really simple way to do that is to go on Google and type in those words, faith, or your specific faith. Or you might type in business owners who talk about family life, or you might type in the topic of fitness and wellness, and then you might pull up some some blogs that have those of authors who are interested in those topics. Those are people that you might want to consider collaborating with. You might see some names you've never seen, which is totally awesome, because this might put you in front of an audience that you might not have never been in front of. So that's a great way for you to start thinking about, who can I collaborate with that has like values of mine that we can align. We're not competing, but we're aligning. You might be really passionate about vegan eating, and your brides, and grooms that you're attracting are really into fitness and vegan and all that. So why not collaborate with a vegan blogger who is going to bring value to your audience, but could also put you in front of another audience as well? Okay. And the last one is really important, and I think that it's something that all of us can be even more intentional about, is to make sure that you have a diversity and inclusion strategy for your business. And I think sometimes we get uncomfortable about this because it's going to require us to stretch outside of what's familiar for us, or outside of our comfort zone. But as you look at the body of work that you have, whether it be on your website or on Instagram, and you want to ask yourself something very simple. Who is my brand repelling? And is that intentional? Now, you want your brand to repel and attract certain people. That's totally fine. That means you're niching down. But your brand should never exclude someone because of their skin color, or because of their body type, or things about someone that's just a part of them. Your brand should never intentionally do that, but it can certainly be doing that by the type of imagery that you're putting out there. So that means that you're going to have to be very mindful of the type of imagery that you're using in your brand, as well as the type of copy that you're writing in your brand. And I'll give you an example of this. So I had a person that I met that talked about throwing their hair up in their copy. She was referring to the audience, saying, "Oh, I know you might have thrown your hair into a messy bun this morning and got your day started," or something along those lines. I have never thrown my hair into any kind of messy bun, because my hair doesn't do that. It takes a lot of pulling and tugging and combing and all that. But she was describing probably someone has long or straight hair that's easily to just move around and manage. And that doesn't describe me or most women of color, or Black women, I should say specifically. So that was already alienating me in her copy, which I'm sure she did unintentionally. So it's really important that as you use descriptors of your audience, that you avoid things like their physical features that could be that could easily exclude someone unnecessarily. So you want to make sure that as you're building your brand, that you are aware of your copy and your visual imagery so that you can have a diverse audience and build and connect with people from different backgrounds, because you can totally miss out on a whole market of people when you only showcase one type of person in your business. And that's really important that you get that. Okay, so look at your visual branding, look at your copy. And if you're thinking, well, I'm in a small town and these are the people who I attract, or my business attracts these kind of people, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. We live in a very small but big world. And with the internet, it makes it even smaller, because we can connect and we can collaborate and we can interact with people that we may have never been able to interact with just by getting on our screens. So that means that you're going to have to do a little work. If you notice that you're only consistently attracting people who look like you, well, then why not go to an event that's going to attract people who don't look like you, that maybe even be marketed to a whole group of people that do not share your beliefs or share your skin color or even your sexual orientation. Put yourself into places where you might not necessarily find folks who look or believe or see things the way you see them, in order for you to build those relationships, establish those connections, and expand so that you can have that diverse audience and those relationships of people that are from diverse backgrounds. So it's really important that you be intentional about that and seek those things out. And as you do that, the more you'll be able to build that. So it might be a little uncomfortable at first. I know this is something that people can get really uneasy and uptight about, but it doesn't have to be, because we have way more in common than we do than not. And a lot of us have very much the same needs. We all want to belong. We all want to feel connected. We all have those basic needs that we need in order to grow and thrive. And if we can just see people and seek out opportunities to expand our brands and have more diversity and more inclusion, then we can allow for ourselves to reach markets far beyond our reach if we stay out of our comfort zone. Okay. Another step to this is to look at your team. If you are building a team, make sure you're considering your team. Are you hiring people who look like you or believe what you believe and only see things the way you see them? One, that's limiting your opportunity to have creativity and different perspectives and ways of solving problems as a business owner, but it's also limiting your ability to reach a market of people that you are not going to be able to reach because you're missing that opportunity from an internal brand standpoint. Okay. So think about folks who you're hiring, but also who are you supporting? What books are you buying? What podcasts are you listening to? What websites are you following? What photographers are you really paying attention to? Look at that. And if you were put them on paper and they all seem to look like you, or for the most part, kind of fit in that one category, it's time to expand that and reach out and build a more diverse brand. Okay. So just to sum it all up, and then we can open it up to some questions for you. And so 4 strategies, no matter what you want to do when you're building your business, that everyone needs to have. It's an exceptional client experience, a relationship building plan. How are you going to go about connecting with people and nurturing those relationships? A collaboration strategy, and then a diversity and inclusion strategy. How are you going to go about building a more diverse and inclusive brand that says to people that you belong here? All right. So with all that said, I would love to open it up to you guys if you have any questions, any comments about any of the information I shared with you. And if you're thinking, this is great, I'm totally just looking at all this and it sounds wonderful. Marketing still overwhelms me. The idea of trying to come up with a plan or a strategy, or I need to look at some of the things in my business, and maybe I need a coach. And so that's what I do in my business. I'm a coach. I work with clients, much like you all, to help them grow their brands to be more profitable, while also maintaining healthy relationships. So if you're interested in learning more about me or what I do, or working with me in any capacity, I have a special offer that's good only until Friday. And I'm not going to give you the specifics on here because the folks watching the replay, it might not even apply to them. But if you're interested, if you have questions and you are interested in maybe doing a intensive or If you want to do some more one-on-one work on your brand, just shoot me an email. I'll give you the details about it. And it's good until Friday. Okay. So what questions do you guys have? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome, Monique. Thank you so much. I mean, you did such a great job of really distilling it down into something that, seems like it's so daunting, but when you do it that in like the 3 strategies and those 4 things that you really need to be thinking about, it makes it so much more attainable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's so overwhelming. There's a million and one ways that people tell you should do things, and it's like you got to figure out what works best for you. But if you understand the math behind it, then you can figure it out.
Absolutely. So while we're waiting for a couple questions, I actually had one question that I thought
Sure.
was interesting. So you talked about goals a lot in the beginning, but you obviously need to make sure that they're measurable. Can you give some examples of what you would consider a measurable goal and how people can come up with that? Because that can be sometimes pretty tough.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do content marketing. So let's say we're under the strategy of content marketing, and you decided that one of your tactics is going to be blogging. And so, and with blogging, one of your tactics is going to be, along with blogging, you're going to create content upgrades where people can get it by using, they're putting their email in there. So email is going to be a part of it. So let's say you're going to do blogging, content upgrades, and email marketing as those 3 supporting tactics. And one of those tactics is going to be the lead generation is going to be blogging, and then the conversion tactic will be email. Okay, so that's the one that's going to say that's where I'm asking for the sale. So the way I would set a goal for that is, let's say I'm going to set a goal of every month I want to get at least 20 new emails on my email list, and of those 20 new emails, I want to book at least 2 consultations. And so then if I know what my consultation rate is, if I have a consultation rate of about 90%, then that's pretty good, because then that tells me that if I know that can relate to dollars, specific dollars. So if I know that my average sale is $500 and I have a goal of $500 for the month, then that means that if I get on a call with at least 1 or 2 people, I'll meet that goal. So you've got to know your numbers. You got to know how your consultations and those conversion rates work, so that you can set a goal that's relative to that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I think so. That's very helpful. So you're trying to figure out sort of like almost working backwards.
You got to work backwards. You got to work backwards. So if your goal is $1,000, for example, but every 1 out of 4 people book you, and your average booking is about $1,500, so you just really need 1 booking. If your goal is 1,000, then that means you need to get at least 4 consultations. And so how many people on your email list turn into consultations? Well, the way you're going to have to do that is you're going to have to put it out there and measure it. So if you know for every 100 people on your list, 20 of them are going to contact you for a consultation. So that means every month you need to be adding new people to your at least 100 new people to your list to get those new consultations.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Jen had an interesting question. So do you have marketing suggestions for those of us who are trying to elevate our brands?
Oh, girlfriend, that is my jam. That is my jam. So most of my clients that I work with one-on-one have been in business anywhere from 20 plus years. They're running 6-7 figure businesses. So they are all at a place when they come to me where they've outgrown their current business model and they're ready to expand. They're ready to grow. So maybe that means they're going to create a passive stream, a new product, a new brand, whatever it may be. Okay. So so the strategies that we go about as far as the categories are still pretty much the same. It's just going to be different tactics that are going to be unique to your business. So let's see, Jen, are you a photographer, event planner, whatever it might be? Your marketing strategy might be public speaking. Maybe you need to get in front of a new audience where you can sell your new product. So maybe part of your growth strategy is to create a new product that can reach a larger audience, that's maybe passive stream, leverage. So how are you going to get that out there to more people? So one of your marketing strategies might be to do public speaking or a podcast where you can reach more people at a shorter time frame and see what the conversion rate is with that. So you'll find out fine art film photographer. So you could create a coffee table book, and it's something that people could buy and love and appreciate. And how can you put it out there? You can create a podcast. You can do public speaking. You can do things where you're going to reach more people at one time. Does that help, Jen? I hope that helps, Jen.
That makes a lot of sense.
And if you need help with that, Jen, girl, I got you. I got you, girl. Okay. Do you have any favorite softwares or programs for client email lists? You're welcome, Jen. I'm old school. I use MailChimp, but I know a lot of people like ConvertKit. What do you use, Megan?
So we have used something called Mad Mimi in the past. HubSpot is another system. It's a very big system. So if you're just starting out, I would definitely recommend maybe ConvertKit or MailChimp. Those are the two that I hear about a lot.
Okay. Yeah, MailChimp gets a bad rap sometimes with ConvertKit coming to the scene, which is why you have to stay evolving with your audience. What does your audience need? You got to keep evolving. So Leah asks, can you give some examples of lead generation tactics versus, oh wait, I read that wrong. No, it's the same. You probably mean conversion. Oh wait, I read that right. Okay, never mind. Okay. So lead conversion techniques versus the lead generation. Okay. So here's the thing. Any tactic can be either one of those. It is basically which one are you asking for the business? Okay. So which one are you asking for the sale? Are you asking for them to do the specific thing that's going to affect your bottom line? Asking for them to sign up for your email list is not a conversion tactic, because that's not, unless it's a paid email list, that's not directly affecting your bottom line. But asking them to book a consultation or do the thing that's the next step to do business with you, then that's going to be your conversion tactic, your conversion strategy. So whichever one you're asking them to do that next step that leads right into business with you. And if a consultation is right into business, or maybe your next step is a book, so buy my book here, that's what's going to be a conversion tactic. A lead generation tactic is where you're bringing in people. So that's where you're bringing them in, you're inviting them over. You're sending if you think about inviting people to a party, you're getting the list out, you're sending them the invitation, and they're getting the invitation. But once they have the invitation, it's up to them to decide they're going to come to the party or not. So the conversion tactic is, what are those things that you're doing to ask them for the business? Okay. Which is the best way to get into the American market? I'm a destination wedding planner. Where are you located? Well, I mean, the internet is global. Like, there's no, especially with your market, there's no geographical boundaries. With that being said, so you're going to have to build some relationships with some folks in the American market, build some relationships with other event planners, because just because you're an event planner doesn't mean you shouldn't have a Rolodex of really great event planners in the area. Other photographers, videographers, build relationships with them and see some of the go-to events that they're going to connect with them, and then you can expand from there.
Awesome. That was super helpful. So it looks like we're running out of time.
I know, we did.
But so there's a couple ways. Make sure you keep in touch with Monique on Instagram. You can reach out to her with any other questions. Her email is pasted at the top right there. And we're here to help. So reach out to Monique, reach out to us. And again, thank you so much, Monique. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was absolutely incredible.
Yay. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed it and have a fantastic day.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.